Turn your mind back to a Britain on the cusp of transformation, a nation pulsing with new ideas, sharp suits, groundbreaking music, and equally ambitious automobiles. The 1960s weren't just about movement. They told stories of aspiration on four wheels. Executive saloons of this era didn't simply transport their owners, they announced them. They were rolling testaments to taste, ambition, and an unmistakable aura of authority. But with such prestige comes competition. Not every car wearing the executive badge lived up to its promise. Some dared and dazzled, some sputtered, and a select few rose above the ordinary, rewriting what it meant to be a leader on the road. As we count down, keep your mind sharp, because the numbers get lower, but the stakes get higher. The most captivating story is waiting at the very top.
Number 10. Humber Hawk Series 5. Before the curtain even rose on the 1960s, the Humber Hawk had already earned a reputation for quiet confidence. By the time the Series 5 appeared, it wore its authority in crisp tailoring, less ostentation, more gravitas. Think of a car for the professional who valued composure above drama, refinement above mere speed. Inside, there was no mistaking the Hawk's sense of calmness, its materials and craftsmanship promising long, measured motorway journeys. But beneath the dignified veneer, shadows gathered. Rivals were flexing new muscles with advanced six-cylinder engines, while the Hawk's reliable but modest four-cylinder seemed hesitant. Not underpowered, not outdated, just conservative. In a segment where subtle status meant everything, that missing spark placed it a careful step behind. The Hawk deserves its respect, dependable and unpretentious, but was always chasing, never leading the frontrunners.
Number 9. Vauxhall Cresta PA. Launched on the eve of the new decade, the Vauxhall Cresta PA brought something that felt paradoxical, an English car with the bravado of Detroit. With outsized chrome fins and a grin wider than any Thames, it looked ready for Broadway, yet its roots were firmly in Luton. Priced to seduce the British middle management, the Cresta was spacious, powered by a reliable six-cylinder heart, and glimmered in any corporate car park. But here's where history takes an unexpected turn. Tastes in Britain were changing just as quickly as the Cresta's extravagant lines were etched. By 1963, what once sparkled began to seem garish. The Cresta remained trustworthy and genuinely pleasant behind the wheel, but while it ticked every practical box, it never quite seized the executive crown. Instead, it was the perennial runner-up, solid to a fault, but always just out of step with the future.
Number 8. Wolseley 6110. There's a magic in quiet confidence, and the Wolseley 6110 embodied it like no other. An executive saloon for those whose authority echoed more softly. Introduced in 1961, it was all elegance. Illuminated badge, rich walnut, deep leather, and a grace that appealed to senior professionals and ministers alike. The C-Series engine delivered seamless progress, and city driving was rendered almost effortless with the automatic gearbox. But the Wolseley kept a secret: its colossal range. It slipped between roles, serving loyally as police cruiser, government vehicle, and company director's chariot, sometimes all in one week. Its only real flaw lay beneath, in shared routes with less distinguished BMC machines. Good, but never enough to escape the gravity of mediocrity. Dignified and remarkable, the 6110 was a testament to grace, yet the lack of singular engineering kept it from ascending to legend. Number 7. Ford Zodiac Mark III. 1962 was a revolution for Ford and the executive class. Gone was the old-fashioned Zodiac. In came the Mark III, sharp, contemporary, and unmistakably modern,
crowned with a set of 4 headlamps and a panoramic glasshouse that signaled confidence. Ford aimed to serve those who craved the up-to-date without paying Jaguar-level prices, and in many ways, they succeeded. The 6-cylinder ride was smooth, and the cabin, for Ford, felt uncommonly plush. But here's the wrinkle: accessibility. Being everywhere and for everyone made the Zodiac feel a touch too familiar. Executives who wanted their car to be a discreet badge of distinction often chose elsewhere. It was, at heart, one of the most rational choices. Yet, in a world ruled by perceptions, the Zodiac struggled to convince as exceptional. The result? A car that nailed the brief on paper, but occasionally missed the mark in the boardroom.
Number 6. Humber Super Snipe Series 5. By the time the Super Snipe reached its 5th evolution in 1964, it stood proud among British executive saloons. Gone was the modesty of the hawk. The Super Snipe arrived with a flourish, a 3.0-liter 6-cylinder serenade, effortless automatic, power steering, and an interior that gleamed with luxury. In this car, Humber squared up to names like Jaguar and Rover and stood its ground. Yet the Super Snipe's real secret was its effortlessness. It never felt hurried or strained. It simply delivered, time after time. The only chink in its armor? A slightly muted sporting edge. Rivals could be sharper, hungrier. Yet for those who valued supreme comfort and quietly formidable ability, the Super Snipe was a revelation. And as the list moves forward, prepare to witness just how much further the bar would be raised.
Number 5. Austin A110 Westminster. The Austin A110 Westminster made a sincere effort to stake its place amongst titans. Riding atop the same BMC foundation as its Wolseley cousin, it wore a fresh, forward-thinking body and targeted those who needed space, practicality, and a shade of understated luxury. The engine was obliging, the ride composed, and the boot deep, perfect for hard-charging commercial travelers. And here's the twist. The Westminster found itself in an awkward middle ground, more upmarket than the everyday, but never quite brushing the coattails of true luxury. It offered more than enough for its price, yet those customers seeking prestige usually reached a little higher. Still, within its firmer limits, the A110 proved itself a reliable partner, hardworking, undemanding, and quietly capable. Sometimes, the greatest achievement is simply getting the job done without complaint. Number 4. Daimler V8 250. On the surface, the Daimler V8 250 might have looked like a Jaguar Mark II in borrowed finery, but this car asked enthusiasts to look deeper. Its heritage badge and signature grille hid a marvel, the compact 2.5-liter V8. Lighter, smoother, and quieter than its straight-six cousin, this heart gave the Daimler its own distinct spirit. Silken, turbine-like power unfurled with the lightest touch, marrying Jaguar style and substance to a more refined, less flamboyant personality. The car never demanded attention or bullied for respect. It simply impressed in quietly consistent ways. For some, that discretion was precisely the selling point. Many chose the Daimler over the more brash Jaguar, and their gamble was rarely regretted.
Number 3. Triumph 2000.
Something shifted in 1963 with the debut of the Triumph 2000. Suddenly, here was a car that broke the rules. Its sculpted, Italian-inspired lines oozed modernity, while engineering ingenuity brought both sophistication and unmistakable driver focus. Few cars at this price could match its 6-cylinder smoothness or the poise with which it devoured winding roads. Inside, Triumph turned its eye to the future. The cabin felt clean, smart, and purposeful, even if a little cozy at the back. But here's the kicker. For the driver at the helm, the Triumph 2000 delivered a joy that its competitors rarely matched. It didn't just look ahead, it drove there too. The only real stumble was its smaller rear space, but for those who cherished the road itself, it was a revelation. Number 2. Rover 2000 P6. At the summit sits the car that redefined the British executive landscape, the Rover 2000, born in 1963. Winning European Car of the Year was just the beginning. This machine sidestepped the chrome-laden traditions, favoring crisp, timeless lines and a technological arsenal far beyond anything rivals offered. A cutting-edge rear suspension, a unibody construction ahead of its era, and innovations in safety set new global benchmarks. Behind the wheel, the 2000 delivered revelations. It was sharp, dignified, and thrillingly capable, blending sports car dynamics with executive luxury. In a decade bursting with experimentation and ambition, no car unified so many virtues so seamlessly. This was not just a leader, it was the standard, a measure rivals would chase for years to follow.
Number 1. Rover P5 3-liter. When the Rover P5 debuted in 1958, it planted the flag for British executive motoring at its most dignified. This wasn't a car chasing excitement, but one defined by its steady sense of authority. With every inch of its long body, it whispered permanence, an aura that no photograph could truly capture. Yet the true revelation lay inside, where craftsmanship reached rare heights, genuine walnut panels, supple leather, and a reassuring solidity that felt built to last decades, not years. It found favor in the highest offices of the land, yet a fair critique remains. As grand as it looked, the P5 was never a car for spirited driving. Its controls were heavy, its movements deliberate, and its 6-cylinder engine more determined than thrilling. Magnificent, certainly, and with its V8 chapter still ahead, a story unfinished.
The 1960s gave rise to an astonishing array of executive saloons, cars that sometimes faltered, sometimes soared, and in select cases, changed the story forever. What truly stands out is the sheer drive for innovation that ran through every make and model of the era. From the classic charm of the Cresta to the visionary strides of the Rover 2000, British engineering never stood still. So, with all these contenders on the road, which one would find a place in your dream garage? Share your thoughts below. Your perspective adds a new chapter to this remarkable history. Enjoyed the journey? There's so much more where this came from.